Hey, great to have you here. So back today with another SH Figuarts video. However, today we are going to be covering a new line. This one I'm definitely looking forward to, so would love to see your feedback down below. I will say we just recently crossed the 100 subscriber threshold, so thank you so much for those that are subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, I really appreciate you doing so. Also, any comments, likes, so forth really goes a long way to helping the channel, so thank you guys so much for that. So with that, let's just jump right into this new line to the Figuarts series of things here. With this, we have Lord of the Rings coming to Figuarts. I made a community post about this a while ago that looked like we had a picture of Aragorn and Frodo potentially. Sure enough, we have a picture of Aragorn here with a few shots here that I'm going to go through and give my thoughts on as a whole. I think there's probably two glaring weaknesses that people will probably call out. Other than that, I feel like these are pretty strong figures. We don't have full details on pricing and things like that yet. I believe pre-orders open this month, potentially even this week, and the scheduled release date for these are going to be June of 25, so got to be a little bit of time before we actually get these in hand, but pre-orders will be starting soon. So let's just jump right in and give my thoughts on a few of these photos we have here. So first photo, great picture of Aragorn looking just very poised and preparing for battle, or he's just almost negotiating with somebody potentially and has like his hand on his sword, preparing to say, hey, make sure you choose wisely because I'm ready to duke it out with you, essentially. Overall, I think this is a great look for Aragorn. The outfit works. A lot of people were going to be happy to have this cloth cape. I know a lot of people on the anime side of things really yearn for having cloth accessories with figures. So this is one that I think people are really going to enjoy that aspect of. It looks like we get kind of a combination of cloth on the outside, and then his undercoat is kind of just that thicker rubbery plastic, as well as his like tunic, if you will. Then we have his sword, as you can see, sticking out there. Hopefully we get some more shots of that we can take a look at potentially. And he has like his glove on his right hand and nothing on his left. And I think one thing people are probably going to criticize, I'm a little mixed on it, it's not the worst. I think the likeness here for Aragorn, it's hard because Aragorn technically exists in Lord of the Rings outside of the movies, but we've such strongly grown to Viggo Mortensen as far as representation of Aragorn. So the likeness here, it doesn't fully look like Viggo Mortensen, I would say. It definitely looks like, you know, long hair, bearded individual, but I think the exact likeness is a little off, if I'm being honest, and I think that's going to be some criticisms people will probably give if you're trying to represent the movies especially. So that's something I would say could be a little bit better, but I don't think it's a total deal breaker on this figure specifically. So let's move on to the next image and see what else we have here. So yep, we have another shot showing off that sword finally. So you can see it kind of looks like similar to Trunks, where you would have just his sheath and a sword. So he can pull it out, obviously here. He can grip it with his right hand there with the glove on as well. And we have a new face here with him yelling. I don't know, the face here, it's not as strong as the first one. I feel like the likeness definitely looks a little goofy for this one. I'm not sure. It's a little blurry if you zoom in, so maybe it looks better in person, but definitely the likeness on the screaming face is a little bit weaker than the previous one as well. Other than that, not much to call out here. Obviously, you see the benefit of having the cloth cape where it's just draped behind him, flowing in the wind. And yeah, just overall good action shot of him preparing to go into battle. This may be one of the fights he has early on in the Fellowship of the Ring, maybe against the Nazgul or something along those lines, maybe in the mines, one of those fights, maybe against the Uruk-hai. So then next up, we have a back view of Aragorn. So this is always helpful to have, just because a lot of these shots you don't see what the full accessories look like. So we've taken off the cloth cape for this one. So we just see kind of that trench coat, hard rubbery plastic behind him. Cool accessories it looks like he has here as well. He has a spot where he can hold his arrows, and then potentially, I'm not sure what that second piece may be. Maybe just like a place to rest on or something along those lines. But I think overall this works as far as what he looks like from behind. Definitely comes with a wide variety of accessories, it seems. I'm not sure what else you could really include with Aragorn thus far that we haven't seen in these first few shots of him. So not much to call out here other than showing a rear view point of view of Aragorn and showing what he has on his back to carry along on his journey. Next up, we get another somewhat of a action pose, but it's more of like a portrait image almost, where he's just looking like he's seriously going into battle here. And it may be the same face, it's hard to tell, as the first one. It looks like he has kind of that same stern face. His eyes look a little more serious in this one, but I think it's the same face. And just shows him having the sword out from a frontward angle. And yeah, not a whole lot new with this one. You can see the arrow holder strapped around his chest. Hopefully that's not going to be a pain to utilize and just stays on there flush perfectly. I know with Trunks specifically, with him having like his jacket and the sheath for the sword, it feels like a lot of that stuff can get tangled up and doesn't really get optimized as far as actually using those. It seems to be more of a nuisance sometimes. So hopefully the inclusion here winds up being something that's very easily used. It looks like we can see his dagger as well there in that across his chest piece. So as I mentioned, a lot of accessories it seems you get with this Aragorn. Next up, we get somewhat of an action shot when it comes to him in an environmental background. So this kind of looks like when he's been fighting the Uruk-hai, and maybe when Boromir has passed away and he's just seen and found him here in the forest. Something along those lines is probably taking place in this image here. And I'm not sure this is a different face. We've seen, obviously, the screaming face and then just the straight mouth face. I think it's been the same one every time we've seen that one. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that is the same headpiece we've seen before. And then we see an extra blade here he has. So we see the blade that he probably had in his waist piece in the previous photo. He actually has out in his hand this time. So definitely a variety of weapons that you can accessorize Aragorn with here. We see the flowing cape once again. Beyond that, not much else to call out here for this photo. And then the last photo. I think this is the second controversy I will call out. And I'll probably do another video covering his stock photos as well. But having Frodo here included here, we have Aragorn embracing him and discussing things with him. So not much different from Aragorn's side of things. It's really just the inclusion of Frodo that we see here. First of all, his ankles look a little bit goofy, so hopefully those don't look as silly as they look on this image. But I think the big thing people are going to call out is Frodo is a hobbit. He definitely is a little bit too tall for this image. I understand with figure arts, we typically skew towards the middle. Big figures get brought down to size. Small figures get brought up. So I understand that's kind of the logic behind what figure arts does. But if we're trying to be realistic, it seems like Frodo's probably taller than you would expect him to be here. I don't totally mind that because, you know, when you get these things in your collection, you don't want something that's like super small. But as far as lore accurate, definitely feels like Frodo comes up to at least to Aragorn's shoulders here, which feels like probably a little bit too tall for him based off of, you know, what we remember. Obviously, we don't have like Gandalf in the shot, but I feel like Frodo was always coming up to like people's waistlines and things like that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts as far as the size comparison of the Hobbit inclusion here? I'm not sure if they were trying to highlight that in this photo. Obviously, they show both characters here, so you definitely can compare them and identify that. But I think that's going to be a gripe a lot of people have. The likeness of Aragorn, as well as the size comparison of other figures apparently in the line here. But other than that, I think Aragorn's outfit looks outstanding. I think his face sculpts don't look too bad. I think the stoic one looks a lot better than the yelling one. I'm not sure if we're going to get more than just those two. We'll have to see when we get full details as far as what gets included here. It looks like we have some more open palm hands that do come with Aragorn's last photo, so your decent variety of hands when it comes to like a gripping hand and just your open hands and things like that that are relatively standard that you get with any figure art these days. But beyond that, I think he looks great. I'm not sure what the price point is going to be yet. As soon as I find out that information when pre-releases do go out, I'll make sure to share it. I'll probably pin a comment on this post. But beyond that, as I said, yeah, this guy I think looks great. Hopefully he's not too pricey. I'm a little concerned that if he's going to be closing in on that triple-digit amount, if he's in that range of like 50 to 60, definitely somebody I would consider picking up. He gets much beyond that. That's when I probably start to question, is the likeness worth it? Is the sizing worth it? So we'll have to see, get more details there. That'll probably dictate my decision if I pick it up. But what are your guys' thoughts? Are you excited for the Lord of the Rings line? I know I am. Assuming everything else goes smoothly, it's a line that I probably have a strong interest in. And yeah, just those are my thoughts overall. Is this one that you guys are going to pick up? Is, you know, the line something you're going to be interested in going after? Or is this something that you say, not for me? Or the things that I pointed out as big flaws for you too? Any comments below? Would love to see feedback there and just kind of discuss thoughts between the community as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon.